a globe. Then something else caught my attention. I began to see radio towers going up all across the nation. And these radio towers, as they went up, the dotted lines began going out as though they were transmitting. And then there was an alarm went off in me. They're sounding the alarm. We're going to be under attack. The siege is laid. When all of a sudden I was watching these radio dots going out like the transmitting of a warning, and instead of the people being warned, they sprinkled to the ground like dust. And an alarm went off in me, and I cried out in the heavens, and I said, "Oh God, they won't even know what hit them." And at that time, all of a sudden, I looked down on the eastern seaboard at the submarine was drawn to that one right off from New York City. And I saw the missile come right out of that submarine and go right up and come right over the city of New York, and the entire city disappeared. Then I looked down toward Florida. Down there, I could see another explosion take place. I looked across, because of my family being in the Pacific Northwest, I looked across. Another explosion took place up by Seattle, Bellevue. And then another one down by San Francisco. And another one down toward Los Angeles, and another one toward San Diego. And there I stood in shock as I was watching these explosions take place and these cities literally disappearing from off the face of the earth. And I found myself saying this: "Oh God, if this has not happened, what will be the sign of it and of its time?" And God spoke to my spirit, and these were the words He said: "When Russia opens her gates and lets the masses go, the free world will occupy themselves with transporting, housing, and caring for the masses. Will begin letting their weapons down, crying peace and safety. And that's when it will happen."
And it's exactly like Jesus Christ said. What more proof do you need that the Lord is coming?
People of the earth, it was coming down. His voice was loud, and it shook like an earthquake. And He said, "Many of you will die in this event. Your leaders will be removed. Are you ready for the marriage?" And bombs started dropping more than I could count. I looked up to see who was coming in after us after the bombs slowed down. I saw people jumping out of planes or helicopters. Okay, they were in full army gear, and there was flags flying up behind their chute. They were red, white, and blue, or blue, white, and red, just 3 stripes. And at that time, I didn't know what a Russian flag looked like, but it was a Russian flag.
So in the dream, I was standing on a high cliff. I was at the edge of a high cliff, and I was overlooking a map of America, the United States of America. So all the states were outlined just as you would see on Google Maps or whatever. All of a sudden, I see a nuke drop on the state of Washington. So right at the corner of our country, a nuke and it was lime green in color. It drops, and it had this ripple effect.
My daughter said she had a bad dream last night. She's 7 years old. So I said, "Well, what was the dream about?" And she said, "I had a dream that Putin threw a bunch of nuclear missiles at America."
I saw the first nuclear warhead. It landed on the USA, and it was on the East Coast. If I had to point out where it was around New York, Pennsylvania, DC, that entire area. I just saw a huge nuclear blast go off, and it wiped that entire section of the map off. And then instantly again, I saw on the left, the entire West Coast was completely blasted. I just saw, the nuclear warheads, the radius of the blast just blasting off from Washington down all the way to California.
It's coming. Guaranteed coming. The reason I know it's coming, because I had the same dreams. I've had at least 3 good dreams of a nuclear bomb destroying a city. I seen a city like LA decimated, destroyed, like ashes. You know what I mean? It says in the Bible that people will toss their gold in the streets because they can't eat it. It's gonna be that bad. So, it means nothing, you guys. God is coming so soon, and We are judged. America is judged. You know, it's a wrap. There's nothing we can do. You know, all we can do is pray for our families and our loved ones to get saved and to get right with the Lord. But America's under judgment.
And while I was in the store, I began to hear over the speakers the warning of nuclear war that had just started. And then I woke up.
Oh yeah, I had another dream last night where a nuclear bomb was going to fall onto New York City.
And the ground started shaking. And we knew immediately what it was. It was some type of nuclear war, right? And then immediately I just started praying.
I also saw these silos opening up, and I saw these missiles strike their intended targets. I saw cities and explosions, mushroom clouds.
There's just like this huge explosion, and I just felt like there's just bombs dropping, and there's this one big huge bomb, like one big mushroom cloud of just fire and everything.
As I'm driving, I come up to the red light and I look behind me and in the rearview mirror, and I see what looks like nuclear bombs just being dropped off in rapid succession in the background, and it was constantly just sweeping the entire area up until it got to me, and that's when the dream ended.
And so as soon as they said peace and safety, we all looked up to the sky. A couple moments went by, and I saw a nuclear missile flying across the sky from east to west.
And I looked up and I can see big green planes and gray planes, but they had Russian flags on the side of them. And then there was one plane that had China flags, and I seen the men jumping out of the planes like thousands of parachutes, and the missiles hit, and then people just running, and they was screaming, and then I just remember seeing mountains on fire, trees on fire, and everything, and it was crazy, man. It was crazy.
That may have been an Iranian sort of developed weapon. In the dream, I was with the missile as it was flying and during its flight, and I saw it come down through the clouds, still with it, and then I saw it striking a city, and there was a huge explosion. Could have been some sort of, atomic weapon, maybe.
Everybody looked up at the TV, and there was a woman newscaster, anchor woman, whatever you want to call her, came on the news and said, "Attention, attention, we have just been attacked. There's been there's been multiple nuclear bombs in the United States that have been detonated." All of a sudden, right after she had said that, I looked out in the distance in the ocean and saw two huge nuclear explosions.
Where I saw a nuclear warhead coming out of the sky and exploding over a city. So when I had this dream about a nuclear attack, I was pretty serious about it. And so I got on the internet, and it turns out that on YouTube there's quite a few other people who have had a similar dream or revelation from God. So with that in mind, I need to tell you something. Now, I'm here to tell you that, number one, Jesus is the Lord. And number two, I believe that the Holy Bible is God's Word. And it says that in the end times I will pour out my Spirit on all flesh. Your young men will see visions, your old men will dream dreams. I guess that makes me an old man, but it is biblical. It is biblical to have a dream from God. So, here's the deal. Time is running out. Okay? Jesus is coming soon. And then when I look at the state of the United States of America, the love of money, the increase of wickedness, pornography, just advertising, money, the idols. For example, the NFL and the NBA are the idols. And, Wall Street and all this. And, it's kind of clear that, I almost want to say that the whore on the beast in the book of Revelation, I think that's the United States of America. And when I look at all the countries that don't like Americans anymore, all of the Middle East countries, you know, all the Muslim nations, they just hate America, you know, and so I'm just here to tell you, time is running out. It's time to get your life right with God and put Jesus first.
And then the last thing that I remember was I heard a voice, and I knew it wasn't the voice of God. It was the voice of Satan. It was a man's voice, but it was a very strong demonic voice. And the voice said to me, he said, "Come. This world is about to burn at 4 million degrees. You are all about to burn up." Ooh, and that fast, I woke up out of my dream. I woke up out of my dream and in real life, and I rolled over out of bed and I fell and I hit the ground and I started crying. I said, "God, why would you show me that, Lord?" I was repenting, and then God spoke to me. He said, "John," he said, "that is what the earth is going to look like when I take my people and I take my spirit and Satan is allowed to have his way." And I think it was like the world after like a nuclear explosion or something. And God said, "John, I want you to tell people about this dream." And I remember like, you know, "Lord, what if they don't believe me?" He said, "It's not your job to make them believe you. It's your job just to tell them what I said."
You know, when I was kind of